month after I wrapped on Stranger Things, I auditioned for another little Netflix show called Wednesday for the role of Tyler. Good enough to get a callback. I'm going to go ahead, critique this tape that was not nearly as good as I thought it was.
You mean like, putting piranhas in a swimming pool?
A little too cool for a character that's overwhelmed by his underwhelming life. And it's borderline masturbatory at times. And afterwards, I'm gonna redo these scenes, knowing what I know now to try to give a better performance. None of this is competition with the actor that was ultimately cast. This is just me having some fun. Smart, sensitive, with an inner strength, Tyler is constantly overwhelmed by his underwhelming life. And is the son of the local sheriff. Having lost his mother when he was a child, his relationship with his abusive father is complicated. When I read this, I already thought I would have a good shot at it, purely because I always play daddy issue characters.
Just like nobody cared about my dad.
Papa, please, you have to believe me. Papa, please.
Was it the Thin Mountain Air or the Yeti Teeny that got you?
This is such a strong opening. You immediately can tell my relationship to the person that I'm speaking to.
Xavier told me what happened last year. That you and your friends torched his boat. That's cold, even by my work standards.
I have such a complicated relationship with parts of this tape because it is so believable and is so natural, and at the same time I really don't take any risks. There's this balance you have to learn between believable and interesting.
Guess that was inevitable. Wish I could say that it was an accident, that it wasn't half as bad as it was, but
if I just quickened so much of this, even by 5%, this would feel so much more engaging.
I poured the gasoline and lit the match.
I know what'll impress everybody. I'll start a fire.
How'd you do it?
I could give you a thousand excuses, but the truth is I'm still trying to figure that out. Went to boot camp and realized
on set it's totally fine if in between your lines you're really taking your time to feel what you need to feel and go on the journey that you need to go on, because the editor can just make it tight. However, there's such a difference, which I want to make a video on the difference between an audition versus being on set. If you do it in your audition, it just is super slow and it feels like it's dragging on.
blaming everyone else for the shitty hand he's been dealt.
I love this moment. I'm going from waxing poetic, talking about how I don't want to be this type of person, to really making sure I connect with Wednesday. We've already seen 10 or 12 beats, and so every time I take another beat, it's like, okay, you're slowing down again. You need to be intentional about the moments you choose.
I did a terrible thing, but I swear,
Bro, get it out. And it's borderline masturbatory at times.
One prank that goes awry shouldn't define you.
You mean like,
God.
putting piranhas in a swimming pool? I may have done a little digging on you after we met.
A little too cool for a character that's overwhelmed by his underwhelming life. I think this might be because I had a little bit of that confidence after doing my first major role. Not to compare it too much to the show, because I always want these to feel like I'm just comparing it to my past self, not the performance of the actor. They played in the show Tyler super soft, super gentle, so that you get the big reveal at the end.
Like you, I have no remorse about that.
I knew there was a reason I liked you.
See, it's like, sir, you are going way too sexual. I'm showing, ooh, what am I doing? Honestly, he does kind of feel way more Xavier-esque than he does Tyler. I like that I'm saying he as though this isn't me that I'm watching on screen. Seeing a buzz cut, it feels so different.
Dad. Probably wondering where I am. I kind of forgot to tell him.
It shouldn't be, oh, it's my dad. Oopsies. This is to show the abusive nature of his relationship with his dad. That's not
My dad is calling me.
going over the top with beating the audience over the head, but at least showing a little bit of the fear before trying to act as though you're not feeling that fear. Showing the deeper emotion in your eyes while your face is trying to mask that deeper emotion.
Where are you going with all this?
Following a lead on a case.
You still think there's a monster out there, don't you?
I had an emotional breakdown on this scene. It just was not going the way I wanted it to. I'm so self-conscious that I'm just becoming a shell. Not in the way where I was adding it to the character, I was resisting the character.
Your shrink. She was kind of tight-lipped on your progress.
Oh my god, this scene is terrible.
It's called
Just zero emotion.
Talk About Mom. You remember her?
I needed to loosen up. This is the perfect chance to really show the volatile nature that maybe he has with his dad.
Talking crap about your old man.
Why? Afraid someone will find out who you really are. You're not hiding.
What are you doing? Why are you whispering? This is outside. There's all this commotion going on, and I'm just whispering of why. I've not moved a single muscle. My chin isn't even moving. I've just stood here, just like this the entire time. It is important to be still in a performance. If you get too much movement, it becomes distracting and you're not able to actually focus on the actor. You're just focused on how chaotic the frame is. If you don't move an inch, that's what makes it feel stiff.
I'll be home late. You're on your own for dinner.
Oh, and I was really hoping we'd fire up the grill and catch the big game, really making warm and fuzzy memories, Dad.
I need to let him have it. Game plan for this one is super simple. Just speed it up to hint of the abusive nature with his character's dad. Don't be a statue. Little moments here and there of his darker side coming out, that when you get to that final reveal, everything clicks into place. A lot of y'all seem to really enjoy the idea of journaling from the perspective of the character in my reacting to myself in Stranger Things video. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of guidance on how to specifically do that for an audition. Pretend you are in the night before the first scene. Journal specifically reflecting on parts of the attributes of the character that are in the description. Wednesday is the only person that makes him feel like his mask is melting off. He's tired of playing it safe at the safe coffee shop, saying the safe pleasantries to the safe people, and he just wants to enjoy this feeling of freedom that he feels with Wednesday. And I also kind of talked about the fear that he has of letting his dad really know how he feels. The great thing about connecting this feeling of freedom that he feels with Wednesday to the feeling of wanting to let loose on his dad in scene 2 is all of a sudden there's connective tissue between the two scenes. Was it the Mountain Air or the Yeti Teenies that got you?
Xavier told me what happened last year. How you and your friends torched his boat. It's cold, even by my warp standards.
Yeah, I guess that was inevitable. I wish I could say that it was an accident, that it wasn't half as bad as it was, but I'd be lying. I was the one that poured the gasoline and lit the match. He could have done so much worse to me, but he didn't.
Why'd you do it?
I could give you 1,000 excuses, but the truth is, I'm still trying to figure it out. I went to boot camp and just realized that that wasn't the version of myself I wanted to be. A bitter townie, blaming everyone else for the shitty hand he's been dealt. Look, I did a terrible thing, but I swear I'm not a terrible person.
One prank that goes awry shouldn't define you.
You mean like putting piranhas in a swimming pool? I might have done a little digging on you after we first met.
Yeah, well, unlike you, I have no remorse about that.
I knew there was a reason I liked you. My dad. Probably wondering where I am. I kind of forgot to tell him where I was going. I should probably call it a night.
Not yet.
You'll notice I'm basically wearing the same overshirt. Always in my tapes, try to make it where I can wear the exact same thing when I go to the live callback. You don't want to have these big, huge outfit changes between every single scene. Just unbutton it to show the more casualified version of the second scene. Where are you going with Elvis?
Following a lead on a case.
You still think there's a monster out there, don't you? I heard you and Santiago talking about it the other day. Still think it's a Nevermore kid?
Ran into your shrink. She's kind of tight-lipped on your progress.
It's called doctor-patient confidentiality.
How about a little father-son confidentiality? What are you two yakking about?
Whoa. Video games, cancel culture, oat milk versus soy. It's a wild time.
Hey, I pay the bills. I got a right to ask.
Talk about mom. You remember her?
You better not be talking crap about your old man.
Why? You afraid someone will finally see who you really are when you're not hiding behind that badge of yours?
I'll be home late. You're on your own for dinner.
And I was really hoping that we'd catch the big game. Fire up the grill. Really making warm and fuzzy memories, Dad. If you enjoyed this, make sure to leave a like and let me know if you want to see my Xavier audition for this show. And then, if you actually want to see me reacting to my actual performance from the show Stranger Things, go click this video up here.